In this video, I'm going to tell you about how I recently tried to go back into the workforce and it didn't work out. So there's this nonprofit that I know very well. I know the founder very well. I know a lot of people in this organization very well. And for whatever reason, I kept getting kind of some nudges like, hey, Rich, this director of marketing position is open. I think you'd be great. And, you know, after you hear it from a few people, you're like, okay, now look, I have not been looking for a job. I am an entrepreneur. I have my own business. We have the podcast production business. We have the video content business as well. And then I have the podcast, which is paying me. So it functions as a business. Now, that being said, I was thinking to myself like, damn, I bet I could do that. I started calling a couple friends. I'm like, I feel like such a sellout though, because, you know, I've said I'm unemployable. I don't want to work for anyone again because I'm all about entrepreneurship and I'm all about sticking it out. Now, that didn't mean I was going to abandon my businesses, but at the same time, I looked at it as an opportunity to not only go in and do some fucking amazing work and get some of the shit fixed because I know some of the existing problems, but the other thing was that I had the potential to just make six figures, you know, doing something that I wanted and loved and can help. And I believe in the cause of this nonprofit and all these other things. And I said to myself, well, that's not necessarily like something I had in mind, but man, that would be a good funnel for the business. That could fund this, or that could fund that, or that could help me make this higher. And then I could be a little bit detached. So I interviewed for it and I thought the interview went fantastic. You know, supposed to be 30 minutes. It ended up being an hour. I thought there was just like incredible rapport. And I was just like, dude, this is awesome. And I was very, very, very confident in what I was saying because I know a lot of the lingering issues with this organization and I know how fucked up it is and how many changes they go through and just how nothing is consistent and how, you know, just oftentimes people are just like, dude, what are we doing? And I thought, you know, given that I've been in a startup environment for 2 years, that I've been able to scale a business to, you know, 250K after the first year being 69K, and then who knows where we'll be this year, I was very, very confident. Now, my approach was very much less is more, less is more, less is more. Like, what are we going to focus on? Like, clearly there's way too many irons in the fire, it seems. So what can we focus on? So I did my absolute best in presenting what I thought would be a fantastic approach. And it seemed like it was received the same way. Well, here's what happened. I got an email not long after, and it was the fucking standard bullshit, you know, sorry, we are going another, you know, I don't know. There was nothing to it. It was cold. And it reminded me instantly, oh man, like it was like so vivid or deja vu, whatever you want to call it. It just reminded me of how that felt when I was getting out of the Marine Corps, retiring, and when I was getting an MBA and people were saying no left and right. And I'm like, dude, what the hell is wrong with me? You know, like it made you doubt yourself. But in this case, it wasn't that I doubted myself. I was disappointed in like, wait a second. I know there wasn't a million people applying for this job. I know there's a very short list. So how come I didn't get a fucking phone call? How come I didn't get an email, like a real email from the person, not the person's, you know, recruiter or hiring manager or whatever? So that was a real big disappointment. So of course I had to ask, I'm like, well, I'd like to know what I could have done better, blah, 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 blah. I thought it went well. So got in touch with the person that I interviewed and they said something, I'm not even gonna repeat it. It was lame. It was just kind of like, you know, people who avoid conflict. Like it was just like the safe answer. And I realized after I found out who the hire was, I'm like, they wanted the safe answer. My mindset instantly flipped. Like I dodged a bullet. Like I've literally been watching the mayhem from the sidelines. I've been just seeing the lack of continuity, the multiple band-aids, all these different things that are transpiring. And I'm like, man, well, lucky me, because I'm the type of person who it's not just because I have control of everything that I want to do right now in my lifestyle and my work and growth and hiring and all these other things. I have so much control over that, which is fantastic. But I'm also the type of person who has really, really, really been good at dismissing anything that's not, you know, really energizing me in my life. And that's the point here. I was looking at something as a vehicle to fund the business, which is my entire life, okay, in my opinion. And I was looking at it as a vehicle, but not necessarily something I wanted. So that was the first mistake. And it's not a mistake per se, like the logic makes sense, but like if your heart's not in it, then maybe it wouldn't have worked out. But number two is, what would happen if a few months in, everything that I was witnessing from the sidelines and being like, oh, dude, what a mess. Now I was just part of that mess and I was in a system where I was actually now going to have to be reporting to someone and I couldn't couldn't say, this is fucked up. Instead, I was going to be the one getting evaluated. I was going to be the one who was responsible for XYZ. And I knew that I would have to deal with some of the bureaucracy associated with working in a traditional workforce. Now, look, I have no problem if you work in a traditional workforce or anything like that. This is not about that. This is about just like really, really letting things in your periphery get too close and sometimes place themselves directly in the center of your flight path. Like if you know what you want to be doing and if you know where you want to go, you are making progress and you're getting better every day, then why dilute that by trying to look for some sort of mechanism that you feel can accelerate it in only one facet? And in that facet, it would be, well, I guess two facets. One facet would be financially, and two is there's probably be some learning that occurred there. But the other thing was like, I felt really weird, like I was going to be a sellout. And one of my very, very good friends, Tally, was like, fuck that, that's a boss move. You know what I mean? Like if you get this and you're able to fund the business, then you'll be able to back off the business and you can really set the business up in a situation where it could kind of run itself and, you know, you could be kind of overseeing instead of in it so much. And she's right. But the problem is like, I love being in it because I have to figure so many things out. Like every day we get closer and closer to a better system, a better process, a better hiring system, a better product, a better way to serve, uncovering something that no one else is doing. Okay. And I probably would not have the ability to do that in this other organization. And I certainly wouldn't have the time capacity to do that with my own if I was dedicated to working for them. So look, all I'm saying is I really think, you know, those times when you have the blinders on and when you do feel like you're dialed in, and even if it's like crazy and messy or whatever it may be, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's life, whether it's a relationship, whatever it is, if you are at that place where you're in your mid 30s or like all the way to your mid 40s or whatever it may be, and you are really unpacking all the things that led you to realize that you're at a point where your existence is a little bit discouraging because you haven't operated within your potential. You haven't created the happiness that you want. Like if you're in this position and you are in this messy road, but it is a straight line path, so to speak, to your goal and you have your blinders on, don't entertain things in your periphery. You shouldn't entertain those things, okay? Like it actually could be completely derailing. It is very easy for us when we get in these situations to try and reward ourselves with some of the progress we've made. And I do believe it's very important to be positive and to reflect on the progress that we've made. And at the same time, like rewarding yourself usually is completely counterproductive because whatever the effort is you think it's going to take to really take control of your life, it's going to take a lot more than that. And I was trying to bring in a huge extra piece. And you know what? It probably would have disrupted everything. And now in hindsight, I'm very fortunate and it looks like I dodged a bullet. And this isn't some spiteful, vindictive diatribe about me failing at something or not getting something that I wanted. I think this is literally the universe being like, hey dude, you're here. Stay there. Stay on this road. Stop looking around. And that's how I'm going to treat it. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a subscribe or a follow, and I will be happy to see you again in a couple days. Later.